Well, it's great to speak with you today, Fred, and I look forward to hearing your views on the topic of engagement, change management, and communication for sourcing and supply chain manager. Can you first provide a brief background of yourself?
Yes, sure. Thank you very much, Dustin. So my name is Frederic Petit. I'm a senior director at RGP. RGP is a publicity trade global professional services firm with a Big Four heritage. RGP is founded in 1996 as part of Deloitte and a public trade company from 2000. We are a global company and are working with big clients around the world. I'm based in Paris. First part of my career was about sourcing. I was a purchasing director in a pharmaceutical group called Laboratoire Fournier. The second part of my career is in consulting from 2001. And I joined Resources in 2005. I have also another part of my job is at HEC, where I am a professor, an interim professor. We call that an adjunct faculty for sourcing and supply chain. And I wrote several papers about supply chain and purchasing and sourcing.
Thank you. My first question is, can you talk about what is engagement, change management, and communication for sourcing and supply chain managers?
Sure. Engagement, change management, and communication are very important in the job for sourcing and supply chain management, as there is a big part of the project where supply chain managers and sourcing managers are involved. You can't now just do just your job. You need to speak and you need to involve other departments in the project, in supply chain and sourcing. So that's very important to take into consideration engagement, communication, and change management. That's the fact for small and big groups, and to take into consideration differences in the history of the company, but the history to the people you are working with.
And why is it important?
That's important because if you are doing your job alone, that will be just a result for yourself and not for the company. So that's very important to work with the others, to take into consideration their project and to work for the others, with the others, as a group and in a project. I take an example for supply chain management. If you want to for example, to involve the suppliers in innovation, that can be done with the other departments of the company, with the stakeholders of the company. In the past, we called that the internal clients, but finally I prefer the word stakeholders and partner for the business, because supply chain and sourcing are a part of the business and the results. So to involve these suppliers for innovation, that means that we have to communicate internally in the company with the stakeholders, with the other departments, and of course with the suppliers. So that means that to begin something, we need to prepare the company to the project. We need to communicate, and we need to change. Without change, nothing is happening.
And how should it be done?
I suggest to have several steps in this area. The first one is engagement. So to work on what are the priorities for the business from supply chain. Are we in a company where we need cost advantage? Are we in a company where we need innovation? Are we in a company where we need to work on delivery time? And that made priorities for supply chain. In these priorities, we'll need after that to convince or to be convinced and to convince that we are in the same way of strategy, to decline this strategy into the supply chain strategy, and to prepare for the others the supply chain strategy. That's the first part, and to make it stick to the company strategy. To do that, we'll prepare the change management and the communication. We have, and a lot of companies are using several tools for change management and communication. The first one, for me, very important to change something, is to mobilize for change. For that, we need the buy-in from the stakeholders. That's a very important step in the change management. And my reference in change management as a professor is John P. Carter from the Harvard Business School, and who wrote a lot of papers and books about change management, and the last one about buy-in. Without that, the supply chain managers are alone, and that's not good to take into account and to put in place change. So that's about change. And communication is very important. We see that the skills that were all of the in our last survey, the first skill that come into the first part of the answers are communication. We need people who know how to communicate. It's not to just to blah 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 to others. No, it's to prepare a real communication plan with steps and how we will implement a real communication plan internally and externally with our stakeholders and with our suppliers. And coming from the project we are mobilized on, we are engaged with.
Well, thanks for sharing your views today on the topic of change management and engagement, specifically for supply chain managers.
May I speak about some rules and tools, or is it enough?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay, so just about, perhaps more about change management, two things about change management and two things about communication. The first one about change management, there are steps to transform project into success. The first one, as I mentioned, it is the engagement and the sense of urgency of the project we need to implement, or we think it's important to implement. And in the different step in the change management process, and I encourage you to see what are the steps. But in the step there is a communication step, and that step is very important in the change. For the communication plan, and to know who would be involved, it's not only enough to have a real plan in my computer. I need to speak and I need to prepare the different people involved in the project. So there are rules and tools in communication who are very important. For example, public opinion prepares action. So if you need to know if your project could be open to change in your company, it's important to know if opinion is prepared. So it could be a good tool to check if your new project is able to be managed. And there are several tools about how to implement communication and I will be happy to speak with you in another interview about this.
Yes, I look forward, and I'd like to speak with you in the future, and thanks again for participating today in the interview.
Okay, thank you very much.